everyone. My name is Cameron Richardson. I will be your moderator here today for Solano Community College. Here with my panelists, NSYNC, Carissa, Victoria, Nareda, and Daniel. We will be talking about our meditation room. For the first question, we will be asking the hardest part of our project.
I think the hardest part was definitely time constraints, because personally I do have like a lot on my plate, especially because I do have about like 10 clubs and 6 or 7 classes now, so it's a bit difficult for me to actually find time. However, because I do feel like I am passionate about it, I did find time during sleep, so instead of sleeping I just did this. And thankfully, because I am in student government, I was able to have connections. So we didn't have too much struggle there. But with meeting with like VP Neely, that was kind of difficult because she is like very busy. But
yeah, the time constraints were a little difficult for all of us because I know we all got like different schedules and stuff. But other than that, honestly, a lot of this project kind of flowed pretty well. And yeah, kind of just setting up our meetings with people at the school was probably the hardest part, I'd say, for this.
Yeah, it was good. It was good operating, being able to actually do everything as a team. It made us to not like made us carry each other burden, so we won't have to stress out about a certain thing. Another question, we'll be going over the steps that we took in our meditation room.
yeah, we did separate into phases. So if you guys like want to explain the phases.
I don't know if we have the first phase on paper, but I remember the beginning we were just kind of trying to figure out what our project was going to be, because this is like our final pretty much. We just had to choose something on campus to improve. And so luckily, with Carissa being in student government, we were able to look at a lot of the complaints about stuff on the school. And yeah, that was honestly, that was also kind of a difficult part for us, like choosing what specifically we wanted to do. But I think choosing the meditation room as it was
because I feel like a lot of the other concerns were a bit superficial and probably not as prioritized in our sense, because we really did need to like hone in on what needs to be done like right now. And that was definitely a meditation room, because a few of the others were like rebuilding cat shelters, which cat club's already gonna do. And I believe we had another one about the homepage, which James Thomas Media is already on. So we kind of wanted to really include something that we could really have our input in, because as students we do have the most power because we have the voice, and the administration kind of looks towards us to really find like the answers, like what do you guys want, because this is for you. And so phase 1 was really just deciding what do we want to do and narrowing our options down. And then also I believe we narrowed our options down. We chose meditation room, and then phase 2. So
All right, what made us create the meditation room? Like get us to the point where we chose the meditation room.
So like Carissa said, it was mainly motivated by student concerns that were presented to like student board and the ASSC. But yeah, mainly just student concerns and people that have religious practices not being able to pray in a private space instead of a public space.
Because like what we were talking about earlier is like when we were first looking at this idea, it was like early spring and it was like raining a lot, and like even today it's probably gonna rain, and so if we don't have a room where people can pray, it kind of forces them to go outside and do it. And if it's so rainy, there's not really good space for it. That means that people are just having to do this on the grass, and that's not really fair to our students here. And so if we really want to create like a very comfortable space for everybody, then I think that eventually we were going to have to create a room like this for people to be able to pray comfortably.
It's definitely inevitable because I know for a fact that our Muslim students pray about 5 times a day. So for them to have to go to the grass where it's muddy and get like their pretty dresses all dirtied and, you know, just kind of being denied that basic right was a bit upsetting, especially because we really do need to start accommodating, especially with the changes in society and how we're really kind of moving forward with acknowledging like different people have different needs. And as we spoke with the MSA, the Muslim Student Association, they did mention that it was a dire need, and just amongst the other students as well.
Yeah.
Try to try to focus more on the part like where they have to deal with mental issues or anything like that. So
Yeah, because it's not just for prayer too. Like we're calling it a meditation room, mainly because we can't specify that it's a prayer room just for like legal reasons.
Yep.
But yeah, it's also a space that people can just go to like take some time to meditate, and with like, I'm sure a lot of us got like some finals coming up, and I think that having a place where you can just go to wind down for a couple of minutes, that could also be really necessary. So I think it's just good because it serves a need for some people, and then it's also just a bonus for everybody else. So it kind of just makes sense why we'd have one. Yeah.
I think calling it a meditation room makes it more
Inclusive.
inclusive and kind of like not as intimidating, because maybe you're not religious and it's like, oh, it's a prayer room, you don't really feel as comfortable going in there. I think it's more inclusive that we label it as meditation.
Yeah, this meditation it could be anything like mindfulness, prayer, anything of the mind, soul, and body, because I do think we don't really address like mental health issues very much, or, you know, the need to pray and just like basic things that we really need on a spiritual level. So that really does kind of hone in on like what do we need, and this is really what we needed.
It's a nice room too. Like
Yeah.
the view is so
It's very
pretty.
Yeah, we got it in the library
Mm-hmm.
because it's like if we're gonna create a space where people can like privately either pray or meditate, we'd like it to be somewhere that's quiet. So it kind of just really worked out that it was in the library, and it's also like in the top floor and the side, and it's like secluded. So it's like perfect for what we were trying to do. Yeah,
It's brilliant.
yeah,
I think-
and
I think us doing it during Ramadan kind of really helped,
Yeah.
because otherwise we wouldn't have known we would have had space for something like that.
Mhm.
I think it definitely helped with the process.
And it's really easy to monitor too, because they don't have to like hire an additional person, since they have student ambassadors and like librarians up there. So they can easily just go in there and monitor it and do whatever.
Yeah.
And I think another issue that we did have was, you know, how would we regulate this? Because some people come in groups, some people are individuals. And when we addressed this with VP Neely, we did say that we wanted it to be on like a check-in basis, or have a Google form of, we're gonna bring this many people. Kind of like when you go to a restaurant and you're just like, oh, we have a table of 4, so we have a party of 4 and we wanna pray and we wanna do this. So I think that would be pretty good for this.
Yeah, and like another good thing was like when we were going to check out the room, at the time it was being used as a temporary space where people could go to pray for Ramadan. So it kind of really just worked out that the same thing that we were trying to do was something that the school was also kind of trying to do, except we were trying to push it to be a more permanent solution instead of a temporary one. And then also, being monitored. When we were going to check out the room, one of the people that works at the library was like sitting over there, and they like were like, "What are you doing in here?" So it's like people are already checking, like, you know, And that was one of our concerns, because initially we were like, oh, let's maybe find an empty classroom, but then it's like we got to find somebody that's gonna like go and monitor it, and it's like, what hall do we put that in? So I think we got really lucky with the location, and
I think it being in the library is perfect.
It is, because it's quiet and it's secluded, and you know, I think it was kind of, I was almost nervous, because before I found out about like room 157 or 159, I thought, oh my God, they're gonna have to pray in like you know, some little closet or something, or, you know, have a yoga mat in like this little area. But the room is very spacious and it's very pretty, like just seeing the sunset.
Yeah, I like that there's a window there, and it doesn't even, there's not, like, it's not really, like, expensive. Like,
No.
the room is currently being used as, like, a study room, but the library already has, like, 4 of those, and I only usually see, like, 1 or 2 getting used at a time.
Yeah.
And really, if we were to, like, change anything about the room, I remember, Victoria, you were looking at some prices for, like, some things that we could have.
Yeah, like for decorations and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it would be very, I'd say inexpensive just to add a couple of things to
Mhm.
brighten up the place.
Yeah. And, like, the main, like, the only, like, essential one is, like, just, like, some yoga mats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I know for the presentation, you were also looking at some, like, examples online, and that kind of gave us some inspiration for, like, how to set up the room and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like including plants,
Mhm.
just to create like a calm ambiance and environment for the people praying there and meditating there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember we looked at like other colleges, you know, UC Berkeley especially, they have like an excellent meditation and napping room, which I didn't even know was a thing until like,
Napping.
yeah, I heard about it and I was like, oh my God, we need to do that. That's a necessity. I
Yeah.
need a nap, you know? So I was, you know, we were almost thinking like, oh, we should have a couch, we should do this, but I think the yoga mats are definitely essential for this, and I could always take a nap on a bench, so,
We should fix that next, yeah.
yeah. But,
Yeah, I would say it would be good.
Yeah.
just having a napping room also, cause shoot, a lot of times I be taking naps, especially on the bus way back home. So it's like I be tired. It's like
Let's get a room for it.
yeah,
and then you
Cause
just like wake up in a different area, it's
Yeah.
not,
Stop.
yeah.
yeah. So
It's another good pitch.
Yeah, that is another good
Yeah.
Should have done that instead.
Yeah. We should have had a napping room, huh?
Mm.
But the meditation rooms, yeah.
Probably more important.
Yeah, it is more important,
Yeah.
but for selfish reasons, I'd like a napping room as well.
Yeah.
napping room, you hear people snoring.
Yeah.
So and then we also had like before, like when we kind of was doing this, we also was talking more so about like a homepage too, like which
Yeah, that was what I was initially wanting to do for our like project of this, because like the homepage can be kind of frustrating at sometimes, but you had mentioned that somebody's already working on that, so that's great.
James Thomas Media, I believe they're already on it, and then
Awesome.
also like the Senate just like kind of pushing for it, you know, as we have to update this.
Hmm.
And a lot of the other issues that we were going to tackle were kind of a bit superficial, but I feel like this one was pretty essential.
Yeah. And I mean, it's good that you're in student government because you can hear like the actual complaints from students and stuff. So that kind of gave us a pretty easy, like some good ideas for what we should have done for the project. Because we were hearing like direct responses from people saying like this is a need that we need on campus. So
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, we just, for student government, you know, people, we just had to like separate the stupid concerns, like we want caramel frappes.
yeah.
And, you know, there was one, they're just so, some of them are just so silly. And then there's the serious ones, like we need a meditation room, and we need, you know, we really need more engagement, which I agree with. And I think having a meditation room will kind of detour people from like having to leave the campus and go home or go to a park, and kind of like find a natural balance. So really it saves you gas, time, energy, and it's just convenient to like be there because it's a central location too. So
I think we have some pretty cool things on campus. Like I think in the cafeteria we have like little chess sets and stuff, and like you can get free soup. Like I'm getting that like every day, and so like I think like this is another really great idea that initially I wouldn't have thought that would be on a campus, and I don't really know if it's on a lot of other places other than like places that we've checked like Berkeley. But I think it can be another really great addition to this campus, and yeah.
Yeah, I remember in our meeting with VP Neely, she mentioned something about like there's already a wellness center.
Yeah.
But the issue with that is that it doesn't allow for like privacy and like a quiet space for people. Like, yeah, it's fun to like mingle with other students and have this space for like activities and stuff. But some people just need that like downtime, that reflective time
Yeah,
for themselves.
because as somebody who has been in the wellness center and I do kind of help out there, it is very loud. Like you can hear people screaming over a dominoes game and like poker that doesn't even have money. And it's so disruptive. No offense to them, but it's not somewhere you can like relax or meditate. Although they do have really nice snacks and stuff. And it's very pretty. Like it's nice, but it's definitely not somewhere that I could imagine if I had religious obligations that like, oh, I want to go to the wellness center and pray, but it's very loud and they play weed bowling and like all these cool games.
So it's like a recreation center.
It is. It's kind of like that. But it just becomes kind of disruptive, and I don't think it would be an ideal place for somebody to like have, a prayer time or just to like relax.
But I didn't even know we had something like that.
Yeah,
So
most people don't.
I'm
Actually,
gonna try and play some Wii bowling soon.
Yeah, it's
But,
fun,
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. But that's cool because then if we're creating this as a separate area, then that wellness center can still exist and serve its own functions. But then for this more specialized need, then we just have its own space for it. So
Yeah.
pretty effective. Yeah.
I think this wasn't done before because in some fashion it is kind of a niche need. Like we don't have like a flock of students that are like, we need this. But we did have enough to where it was a concern and it was definitely a priority for us. But unfortunately, as somebody who is in Senate, I do know like we don't have enough manpower to really get stuff done like this because there's so many processes and steps. Like we had to meet with VP Neely, who is the student, I believe student affairs vice president, and then ASSC because we really needed their support, if they want to fund it, which I believe we were talking about that, and the governing board to get this officialized and in writing, which we did write a proposal. So we will probably present it sometime this week or next week, but it just depends.
I think we touched up on everything, like as far as anything.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you for listening to what we are talking about as far as our project In Sync. That's our group name. We hope y'all enjoyed. We hope y'all. Thank you for my group, Carissa, Victoria, Nareda, and Daniel. Y'all have a great time and enjoy. Deuces. That's it.